Today on the Landing Space Podcast, we are talking about what you do with that first lead and how you turn that lead into a client and make tons of money off of that client. So, Mark, I have got a new lead generation program for our real estate. We've been using IDX sites, which an IDX site, if you don't know, is a way to show houses that come from local MLSs to other clients. And basically they can search through your website. You can take that link and add it to your website, and it pulls up all the listings and allows you to search for those properties on the website. Well, we're using a company called Boomtown. We are generating leads for the agents in the firm through Google AdWords. They're doing a search for local areas. We have MLS access in the Triangle, Fayetteville, and Wilmington. So we're generating leads all over those areas for our agents. And then they are jumping on there and searching around and looking. It's kind of squeezing them down in order to get them through. Well, once they get there, we get notification if they fill out the online application, and then shoot it over to the agents and they get their first lead. Well, from there, the key is how do you follow up with that? Right. And we have a system in place for that follow-up, and it's very specific. You obviously need to know some questions. So that first phone call, once you get the lead, we suggest making that first phone call within 5 minutes of generating that first lead. The reason why is because they're probably still on the website. They probably remember who you are. The longer you wait to call that lead or to get in touch with them, the more likely they are not to respond to you. Right. And then it's a percentage based off that of how that drops out. So we say call in the first 5 minutes, and then if they don't answer, shoot them a text. So call, text, and say, hey, this is Justin Carnell with Banking East Realty, reaching out to you. Saw you on our website, looking to see if you're looking to purchase or have a house to sell. Questions you ask, we need to make sure that obviously they aren't working with any other realtors. Yeah. We want to know if they are qualified for a mortgage, things like that. But the follow-up plan is key. And a lot of salespeople, the reason why they aren't successful in sales is because they aren't willing to put in the work to follow up with all their leads. They'll do one phone call, maybe one text, maybe an email. Some people don't even call, their email. I've actually been on a list, and this is funny to actually think of. I have been on a website before I even got my real estate license. And I got my license in 2012. And I had been on this.
Is that a lead website?
Carolina Beach, for a real estate firm in Carolina Beach. I have been on their website, and I get consistent emails from them. My wife and I have considered buying property down in Carolina Beach multiple times. Now I'm licensed down there. I have MLS access. I'm not going to use it. But I've been on their website, and I search daily on there. So I'm one of those people that pops up. I have never received a phone call. I've never received a text. And I've been on there for like 5 years. And I would be considered a hot lead on there, I would guess, because I'm constantly on there. Like I just looked at it this morning when I got their email to see what property popped up. It's just one of those things I click on and look at.
Yeah.
And I have never, ever received a text or a phone call.
Do they still in business?
Yeah. I mean, I've got an agent that emails me, and it's an automated email thing. There's nothing special about it. But I've never received a phone call. I've never received a text. As far as I know, I mean, who knows? I might have missed it. But no voicemail, no follow-up whatsoever for it. So you're paying for a system that your agents aren't using. The key is to make sure your employees are using the system to follow up with themselves.
No non-automated, email at all?
No, it's an automated email. I mean, I get automated lead sent to me, like an automated house search sent to me daily.
Right.
Or probably every couple days, right? But I've never gotten a phone call from an actual person. I've never received a text. There's never been any sort of try to get this person whatsoever.
That's kind of crazy. We have, for our business, I have another business as a consulting firm, but it works a little bit different than real estate. Our lead generation comes from our EHR system. So we have EHR, electronic records, health records management system. So what I have done since my business is a consulting firm for strictly practices, doctors' offices, any healthcare, to try to help them generate more revenue for their practice.
Yeah.
So basically, my EHR system is linked to anybody else that uses that same system. So I don't have to pay anything. It comes with a service for our EHR system, and I actually get a lot of leads from it. They advertise us if you're a doctor and you're using the EHR system, the EHR system calculates how much profit margins you're keeping every month. If it's within a window to where you're barely making it, it'll automatically recommend a consulting firm such as myself, and I am the only one right now in the area.
Well, that's awesome.
So I'm the first one to get it recommend. So, and I've actually generated just this week. I think we had nine leads, and what I have is I've hired some VAs.
Okay.
They're overseas. I hired them. They're from the Philippines, and I basically give them the list and the emails, and they'll follow up with them as far as what they can help, and they help narrow it down. They'll help narrow it down, and it's super easy. I love VAs.
Yeah.
You're the one that introduced me to them whenever we started doing our first side gig. But I think I don't think I can do what I'm doing now without them. They follow up with me. For me with all the leads I'm getting, and they're basically narrowing down. They have a certain set of questions that they'll ask them as far as what kind of areas they think they need to improve on for their practice. And once they narrow that down, they'll send me the leads that higher potential chance of that they categorize as in like how serious are they to try to make the investment and trying to grow their practice. So they'll narrow it down. So it comes in a tier system. They'll say that for me is like tier 1's most important, that they want to actually move forward within a month.
Yeah. Tier
3 is like they want to try to build it within a year. So they have for tier 3 they'll call them maybe like once a month or something. For tier 1, if they're really needing it, we'll keep in contact with them every week.
How do you transition between the VA to yourself? So when you have the VA, what's the point where you'll take over that and start trying to make the sale?
So the VA, when they send me, I focus on the tiers. So they have it all laid out for me. I use the platform Asana.
Okay.
Asana is the most simple way for me to communicate with them. They're a lot of the VAs use it over there. So I just had to learn it. It's really simple, and we use Slack also. So, but they categorize it for upcoming leads that need it within the month, and anytime that they can set a priority on it. So anytime there's a red priority on there, it comes directly to me, and I can assign me, my friend Mike, and I have another buddy that's a 1099 with me that will go talk to them first and see, like, have face-to-face contact before I actually go in. I'm the primary guy that goes in there and basically tell them everything that they need to do, give them the recommendations. I spend an hour to 2 hours, just depends on what they need. So, and that's great because the way my business works is I go in there and I charge them an hourly rate.
Okay.
Right? But if they need extra revenue, I have some vendors that I can recommend. Like, I used to work for a couple of mobile diagnostic companies. So I have a negotiation with them that, hey, if I get you in an office, I can profit off of them as well. That's how my business works.
Yeah.
So I get a commission off of them. I help those guys build revenue in their practice, and I help the vendor also make money. So everybody wins in that point. So if you're a doctor and they say, well, I need to make more revenue in the month, monthly revenue is kind of barely making it. So I need to add more services here. So, okay, we can add like an ultrasound service here. I can generate some companies that could possibly come here and provide you these services. But then also, it might just be how they're billing stuff. Some doctors, unfortunately, you heard the term, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Some doctors try to hire people that don't know what they're doing to bill out to the insurance companies. So that's the first thing I look at. But anyway, the way I get those leads, the VAs, it starts from the EHR system. It goes to a platform. Basically, I give the VAs an access to the platform, which is just a link of the EHR system that we use, and they'll go through the whole list.
Yeah.
And they'll transmit all that stuff to me and Daniel and Mike through our Asana, and we go through it. They will designate. Mike deals with all the tier 2s. Daniel deals with all the tier 1s. Tier 3s. I deal with all the tier 1s. Tier 1s are ready to go.
Right.
So it's a pretty smooth process, and we're just learning. I mean, I've only started this I think last year,
Yeah.
and it was just by accident. A lot of my first clients that I got were just people that I knew. It was just word of mouth. I helped one doctor out because he really needed help. He said, "Hey, you know how to generate revenue for these practices? What can I do?" So I sat there and talked to him about it and helped him get some vendors, and he actually tripled his revenue for the month. And he started telling his other friends about me, and all of a sudden, well, I can make this into a business. So I kind of just did it.
Right.
There's so many. I'm at the point where I'm trying to transition it to where it's almost like a passive income, to where I designate it to like just certain people.
Yeah.
That's high priority to where I can go myself. But I'm trying to train other people to actually do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's a lead generation. There's so many different platforms out there. But the key thing is what you said. You got to follow up, because if I give you a lead and you never do anything with it, then you're not going to proceed. You're not going to make any money off of it.
Right.
The guy's going to go somewhere else. Waiting too long, just like my other company. It's also in healthcare. We have diagnostic centers. We get referrals from other doctors. They send us patients for us to do. If we wait too long to call that patient, they're going to go to another diagnostic facility.
Right. Tracking, I think, is key there too. One of the things you said is you have a way to pay attention and know exactly what's going on through it. So having a CRM that's basically putting your information and making sure it's up to date. A lot of people will take the lead, make that first call, not actually track anything that they're doing with it, especially when you're doing it without a plan or a system in place. And so the key here is to make sure that once you get that lead, you're putting it into a system and you're following that breakdown of how you're following up, and you're doing that consistently with it. And so having the CRM, like you said, where you've got the tier system with people that deal with it and all that sort of stuff, is awesome, because that gives you an actual idea of how you move people up into that system and the contact people that go through it. And so having that set up with the CRM and then keeping good notes. Notes are key whenever you're dealing with a lead, and knowing exactly what's going on with it and how that communication is going. With our system, we are taking the lead, and you're actually able to see, because they've got an app for it, the phone call, the text message, everything goes in there. It's all categorized. It tells you when to do it again. It's very streamlined. Before we were doing that, we were using a system called Podio. And so we were having to actually implement the stuff in the Podio, which is a CRM, and build it out. So we were putting the lead in there, we were contacting the lead, doing all that. And we have multiple different sources where leads come into. I mean, we have Realtor.com, we have all sorts of them. Friends and family, there's always a category for whatever goes in there and how that rolls out of that. But the follow-up is 100% the first thing you need to do, and you need to do that all the time in order to get that business.
Yeah, and you gotta if they express interest in whatever it is they need that you possibly help with, you gotta express interest in it as well, as far as express interest in helping them out.
Right.
Because, and I've had to actually get rid of a couple of people that I brought in. It was just a learning process. We've been in business for just a little bit over a year, but it took us a little bit to get to where we were. And I had some people that I brought in too soon that didn't really express interest. Like, okay, this is how it's like all scripted.
Right.
So proper training to whoever you have following up to your leads, I think makes a big difference. You gotta they've gotta know the questions to ask, and they've gotta know the answers to give.
Right.
And just reading off a script, just like calling customer support sometimes. When you call customer support, you can tell when somebody's reading off a book, right?
Yeah.
And it frustrates the crap out of me. And I'm like, well, and they don't know the answer. Rather than just telling you they don't know the answer, they keep trying to repeat the same thing over and over again.
Right.
So it makes it like infuriates me. So I try to train the people that I hire that's going to respond to this, and the people in all my VAs. We have a Zoom meeting every other week. So we touch base with them. It's on Fridays. We touch base with them just for about 30 minutes to an hour. Touch base on what they've done, what we need to improve on. And I've actually hired a lead VA in Darwin. He's awesome. He manages everything for me. And before, I used to meet with everybody. Now I just meet with him once a week, and just for about 20 minutes. And he meets with the guys by himself without me. So right now, instead of me meeting with everybody every 2 weeks, I meet with them like every 3 months. He deals with it. He's my only contact, and he's running everything pretty smoothly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anytime training's key for whatever you do with anything.
Yeah.
Especially knowing how to have that conversation. That's something we have to do also whenever we're dealing with phone calls. But in closing, basically, the key to any conversion from a lead to a client is to ask for the business.
Exactly.
You always ask for the business. No matter what you're doing, you can have the conversation. You say, hey, can we schedule an appointment? If you see something, I'd love to take you to go show you this. I noticed this awesome house that's available that's in your price point right around the corner. Would you like to set up a time to go show it? Asking for the business is key because a lot of people will have that conversation and not ask for the business. And what's the point of the conversation but to get the business?
Right.
And so you need to make sure that you're asking for the business and you're always trying to close that business. And you don't do it, aggressively. It's just a casual, like, hey, I'd love to show you this house. I know it's around the corner. If you have any time, I'd love to meet you there.
Yeah. And one of the key things that I implemented to really talk to the people that are truly serious about doing what they need to do with our company is that's why I charge an hourly fee.
Right.
Because if you're truly serious about making this happen, it's not a ridiculous amount, but I charge them. Like I charge like $150 an hour. Right?
Yeah.
So I charge $150 an hour for the first 2 hours. Anytime I've got to come in after that and to help implement with everything, then I charge them a flat fee for the month.
Yeah.
So it's you just gotta kind of find your structure and kind of stick with it, make sure everybody's trained, and always follow up with your clients. But I feel like that getting your leads that way and making sure that you express interest in helping them will actually lead to you getting that client.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for our episode. We'll see you next time or our next episode. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and download us on all the podcasting platforms on the Landing Space Podcast.